let me share my screen. All right. So the initial onboarding sequence that that Martin designed and that we were putting in, I wanted that to be still part of it. The only thing I was changing and why I was so just befuddled on the call we had as far as what was changing and what wasn't changing is because like it wasn't I wasn't necessarily changing the app. I was just changing the way people purchased. That was it. You see what I'm saying? That's all I wanted. And just one other thing. I was on the phone. I was on a call with someone who wrote a book on Amazon. Who had a book on Amazon. I connected with her or whatever, and comes to find out she's a web designer. Like she has a web design agency here in the States, among other things. I was interviewing her for giving people advice on how to drive traffic to the websites and whatnot, but I didn't realize she was a web designer. And when I showed her the onboarding sequence, I mean, her jaw dropped. You know what I'm saying? She was like, "Wow." She's like, "You really did put a lot of." She's like, "You really did invest in design this thing." And I was like, "Yeah," and I've shown it to other people as well, and like the response is just amazing, right? I mean, people like I hadn't even put a price on it yet, and people were just, I could tell people wanted to buy. People in the industry, right? And so what this version of it is okay as long as people go through the initial onboarding process, or at least in an ideal world, every page would look like that initial page when people were onboarding.
All right. So you want the layout of all the onboarding sequences to look like the initial one, the one that we removed before purchasing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because hold on, let's just try to get to it because I need to look at it. Because and what I was saying to Martin, and why Martin and I were going back and forth on that for a while, is what I was trying to convey to him is that so if somebody were to go in and answer the questions, like these questions right here, right? Once they've gone and answered the questions, and once they've downloaded, and they come back to this page right here, I was okay with them answering other questions that basically looked like this page, right? That looked like this page, only because, again, the demo is different from the reality. In the demo, you had 3 questions to answer. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Done. See what I'm saying? And it didn't matter necessarily that you couldn't see the answers. In this version right here, I can't see them. If I'm an end user, I can't see what I'm filling in.
Okay, please fill in one so I could see what you're saying, because I don't get that part.
All right, fair enough. Hold on. Let's see. All right, let's just do this one. All right, ready? So let's just go. What is the name of your offer? Follow-up fuel. Do you see where my answer is in the text?
Yes.
You see, where did I fill in where does it go in the email body though? Can you see it without me scrolling down?
No.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to answer the next question. What is the biggest pain point of your subscribers? Not making money. All right. Now, what's the context here? In other words, what is your expertise? Email marketing. Right. Okay. I'm going to go to the next one. Right. I don't see this. I don't see what. Now I can scroll down and I say, oh, there it is, right there. Oh, there it is. Finally. Okay. Now I see it. Now what? Now I know what I'm talking about. Cool. And then I got to go back up. And then, so that's just one example. That's one challenge. The other challenge is that if I say, okay, what is your name? Jason. I hit next. What should happen here is see the subject line. Thanks for signing up. I can't wait to see what we do together.
Yes.
It doesn't advance. It doesn't go here. Like, in other words, when I hit next, it says, what is the main thing you will help them accomplish, right? That question isn't in this email template. It's on the next subject. You have to go here. I have to click there.
Okay. I get that. Okay, let me take some notes. John, are you taking notes?
Yes.
Okay. So
that I assume should just be, automatic, right? But again, the challenge is even when I hit next, I can't see where I am on the template. Now, functionally, it's much better because I'm noticing when I'm answering a question, I don't have to answer it, right? So that's job number one that this new version had to do, right? So we can check that off. Yep, we've done that, right? The second part of that is just the whole UI and ease of use. So the user interface and just how people are interacting with it. And that if I go back to, let me just go back to the drip sequences for a second. Oh yeah, so my question to you is, see this where it says education and welcome, 31, it has 31 questions remaining, right?
Yes.
When somebody's answering 31 questions, the question I have is that, does that number go down once I've, in other words, if I say Jason, if I say answer the name Jason, right? And that question would come up, let's say, pretty much in every almost in every sequence is going to be like, you're going to sign it off by saying, what is your name, right? Like, there it is, right? There it is again, right there, Jason, right? So does that, me answering that question, that one question, doesn't that knock out two questions in your mind? Or how is the app counting the questions? Because I know when I created the spreadsheet and sent it to you guys, there were questions that were repeating themselves that didn't necessarily need to be written in the app multiple times, because as long as they were asked once, that question didn't necessarily need to come up again, because the app was just going to fill in that. In other words, the question would come up in the actual templates, but a question wouldn't necessarily show up over here. They wouldn't have to actually go through and ask it. So me answering that question, does that mean that takes care of, well, I'll just look. Yep, Jason right there. All right, so the question becomes then, let's see, it probably says, Jason right there. All right, so that means that basically that was 3 questions that were answered by me answering that one question, which means that for all intents and practical purposes, that would go down to 28 questions, right? Or are there literally 31 separate questions in all of these sequences? It doesn't seem like it. There's only 5 templates here. And I know this sequence isn't exactly this isn't exactly a long sequence, you know?
Okay, so
do you know the answer to that? Or like, how is it calculating it? How is it calculating that there's 28 questions left?
Well, it's at 31, this one, right?
I mean, it started off at 31, but let's say, for instance, I just answered 3 of those questions. If I went through, there's no save button too, so I'm not exactly sure where all the saved emails are going. But let's say, for instance, if I start that and I want to complete it later, let's just say, am I going to see another number that says 28 because I just answered 3 of the questions?
Okay, I'll have to get back to you on that. So, but ideally, how would you want this to do? Like, so you'd have to, let's say, I write my name is Jason on one of the onboarding sequences. It should propagate through all of them. But then I could go through the list of the questions, and then I will see Jason there, and I can choose to either change it or click next, right?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't need to change it if that's your name, right? I
mean, maybe you wanted to write something informal, such as J, for example.
Right. Yeah, so let's put it this way: from a functionality user perspective, once I've answered the question, I don't need the question to show up again as a user. If I want to change my name to J, I can do it in I can either answer that same question again. I can literally go back and just answer that very first question again. Or like, what is your name, Jason? I can change it to J if I want to. If I didn't, I can overwrite my answer. But it doesn't necessarily need to come up again, which I don't think it does. Like, I think that the other thing too, by the way, these questions can be skippable. Can you make them skippable? That original interface that I had shown you at first had the skippable questions, because sometimes people want to go through, but they don't know the answers to the questions while they're going through them yet, or they need to come back and answer them later.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So make all the fields not required.
Yeah, they're not required, right? They're not required. Because somebody might not have a blog, and I might be asking them to link to their blog. They might not even have a blog yet. But I guess what I'm wondering is that, like, I don't think I'm going to go through. Well, yeah, I'm not going to go through here and see another question about what is your name, right? I'm not going to see that.
No, of course not. Like, all right. You see that once per sequence.
All right, that's what okay, that was my concern. Fine. If that's the case, that's perfect. Now, then the question is that, let's say, for instance, for all intents and practical purposes, I answered 11 questions right now, right? I answered 11 questions. Where do I go to, like, if I'm interrupted somehow and I want to go and save and come back to this thing before my computer shuts down automatically, or the battery dies or something like that? Like, where is my saved work?
Okay, so you wanna, we have two options here, either like to automatically save the progress, or as you fill in, or like have a save progress button. I think we should automatically save the progress. So, because let's say you just wrote something, you had to leave in the middle of the session, you come back, your answers are saved.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be ideal for sure.
Okay, all right, we can do that.
All right, but what now? What about the big question here? The part of the app that everybody seems to be falling in love with, including myself, which is the initial onboarding sequence. We can either, I mean, every single sequence. When you go into a sequence to start, because the thing is that somebody might not. Let's say, for instance, I think the one that I initially gave you was the classic welcome, right? That was the one. I think it had 16 questions or something like that, right? So if somebody were to go through that, right, they would have answered already. Definitely, they would have answered the question of, what are the pain points of your customers, right? They would have answered, what is your name? They would have answered, the name of your product or service, right? That's 3 questions right off the bat that are gonna show up in pretty much every one of these things. Not all, but a lot of them, right?
Yes.
Which means that a sequence that used to have 31 questions might now have 25, let's just say, right? Or 20, right?
Yeah, like it will still have 31, but 20 left to fill.
But exactly, but 20 left to fill. And that's the thing, because it says remaining questions. Like this example, it says 3 remaining questions. So technically it might have 31 questions, but it will say like 25 remaining questions. That's what will happen, right?
Okay. Yes. I'll double check on that one. And if it isn't that case, we'll fix it.
Okay, and going back to my big ask here is that because I can literally see this, right? Like this is easy, right? If I answer this question, I can see where it goes. If I answer this question, I can see where it goes. If I answer this question, I can see where it goes. If I have another question here, I can see where it goes, right? Because it's just scrolling down the page and it's basically dancing along with the template, right? How difficult is it going to be to add this, because you already built the code and all that stuff, right? I mean, how difficult is it going to be to add this for every sequence that we have?
Okay, let's see the sequence. Like what's exactly different here from there? Like there's an element. Let's go back to not this one, the other one. Yeah. Yes. So the difference here is like
the big difference here is that we can't see the template. In other words, if this thing was split, if the WYSIWYG was split up to here, great, but it's not. I understand we're well past design phase here. Again, in the mock-ups, it wasn't the best representative, and that's no fault of anybody's, but it wasn't the best representation only because we were just sort of saying, okay, well, there's only 3 questions here, so it's not. It's literally 3 questions. So it's not that big of a deal. I can live with that, right? It's like they're all right there, right? 1, 2, 3, boom. Move on to the next one. Boom, 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. But when you get into 31 questions, boom, 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 user experience starts to drop off. When you sent it to me, I'm all ready to write my follow-up sequences for an opt-in that I have for Follow Up Fuel. But I don't. But when I opened up this, I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like I have to.
Okay. So let me put what you said into different words. So you want an easy way to see the progress of the emails as when you're filling as you are filling the forms. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
so yes, we'll see how the best way to do that.
Because I'm looking at the best way. This is the best way. Right here, you already designed it. This is the best way to do it. The question is that like how far off are we gonna like as a result of the design as it is right now? I mean, I'm anxious. I don't want to be sort of having to wait another month to get this thing done. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, neither do I. Like this, I'm not sure how much time this will take to move like the what we have right now into this look. So I'll have to get back to you on this. My first intuition would be like to make that other one work in a way like that will be able to show progress quickly without having to change the layout for all of them.
Well, if you can do that, that's great. In other words, if somehow, I mean, I don't know how you do it, but if while I'm answering these questions, somehow I can see what the actual template looks like that I'm filling in, that'd be fantastic. Because right now I don't know, do I capitalize this word? Is this the first word in the sentence? Is this the last word in the sentence? Here I know,
yes,
like
yes.
That's literally the last word in the sentence. Okay, cool. That's not I don't need to capitalize that. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I see what you're saying. So let me get back to you on this one.
Okay.
On the best way to do this.
All right. And man, I'm telling you, like once we've solved the problem that we're talking about now, it's on. I think there's a lot of buzz. I think a lot of people will be interested in sharing this, talking about it, purchasing it, and then the big grand and here's the grand plan is that I want to get the back end done. The back end, and you and I talked about it at the beginning, but the back end so that we can so that you guys don't have to add the templates manually, so that yes. I can add templates, because there are email copywriters that would love to be able to put their sequences in Follow Up Fuel since it's already automated, and then go from there. Now, one other question that I have for you is where is the where is the saved work going to be? Like, there's nothing in this panel that says like my profile, my whatever. Like, what's happening with that?
Okay, on the top right, like John Smythe. Yeah. What functionality do we need here?
Well, I know you have log out here, which is helpful. But like again, if I'm an affiliate marketer and I'm an affiliate for ClickFunnels, I'm also an affiliate for a couple of other products, and I want to save them. I should be able to go here and say like, okay, view my products or something like that. View my saved work at least, and I go here and boom, okay, this is where it's going to be. Where is that?
Okay, hang on. Who's the affiliate, you or the client?
The client.
Okay, so why do they need to add the affiliate link? I don't get it.
No. What I'm saying is do you remember when we've talked about it a lot? When if I'm creating an email sequence for a particular product, let's just call it product X, right? And I'm answering all these questions, and I'm done. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna deploy this email sequence to my list, right? And then now I'm gonna do a sequence for product Y. And I'm going to deploy that to my list, right? I want to save both of these because I want to come back and I want to use them again at some point in the future, right? That was part of the main feature, right?
Okay, hang on. Let me understand this correctly. So you want to save your past downloads, you want them to show there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to save my past work. I want to save my work. I want to be able to remember, again, it was one of the upgraded features that we were going to have that now we're just including it in there, which is that if somebody wants to save for multiple products and multiple profiles, do you remember, I'm sure you know we've talked about this. It was literally in one of the first things that we talked about when we sent it through Upwork.
Okay, hang on. Let me get back to the requirements document, because that's what we built the project around, right? So let me check which requirement.
Yeah.
Is that. Hang on.
And we've talked about it. I mean, sure, if you just go through Slack. Matter of fact,
Okay, so like describe that to me. Like you want multiple. So let's say I have operate two companies, for example. So
Yep.
I want to create the sequence for company A, where my name is Jason, for example, but in company B, my name is Sam.
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
so you're talking about multiple profiles under the same username instead of having two different usernames.
Correct. Yes, that was again a priority, integral for this version.
Okay. All right, I'll get back to you on this one as well. I'll do some research.
Okay, but the question is that why I'm confused a little bit now, because you're sounding like you don't remember this being in the initial ask, I guess, or that we've never talked about this, which is confusing to me. It's a little bit concerning, actually.
You know, actually, we did talk about that, but I need to get to my developer and see how was that implemented.
Okay, but I'm guessing by your response, it probably wasn't implemented.
Yeah, well, the way I'm seeing it now, yeah, but even if it wasn't, it shouldn't take a long time because the functionality is just there. It's a matter of just adding another profile under the same username.
Okay. All right. All right. So So the communication to me right now is important. So when can I, even if nothing is going on, please just tell me nothing is going on. Like, you know what I mean? You should be like, hey Jay, I talked to the developer, you know, I sent him whatever I needed to send him. You know, he's got something going on now, but he's gonna finish by, you know, I just need to know so that we can tighten up this timeline and tighten up the,
all right.
You know, so
okay.
So can you, when is reasonable, I guess, for me to hear back from you to say, just get an update based on everything that we're talking about today?
Okay, I'll get back to you with an update within 24 hours.
Okay, so by 9 a.m. tomorrow, my time. Okay, that's fair.
All right. Anything else you want to discuss?
No, I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Nice talking to you. Bye.
Appreciate it. All right. Bye.